Okay, since you bought the watercolor paints, I think I'm going to go ahead and use some of them for the flowers in this painting, just to give you another technique of using watercolor with the acrylics, and so you can see how that works. Since I put the white on here, it makes it easier to see the watercolor, and I love using watercolor for florals just because they're so soft and just because I love watercolor. So the first thing I'm going to do with my watercolors is I'm going to spray them with a little spray bottle. You can get one of these at the Dollar Tree. They're super cheap, but they are worth your money because they're nice to spray your paper with or to spray your watercolors with. So I'm just going to go ahead and activate these. Watercolors are nice because they last forever. They dry out and you can re-wet them and re-wet them, and unlike acrylics that end up not being able to reactivate. Once they're dried out, they're dried out. So I'm using a round brush. This is a number 8 round brush. I'm gonna go into an orangey gold color for my first flower. Make sure you can see it. And it's gonna just kind of puddle up there, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going down to where the black is, and the black's still showing through. And I'm just gonna color the whole area with these watercolors. And you can't use watercolors like you do use acrylics. I mean, they're just not the same beast. You just kind of have to make them wet and pour them on there. The nice thing about the black that's in the background, if you get past your lines, you're not really going to see it anyway. But you can do this with acrylic as well, like a very watered down acrylic paint is perfectly fine. I just thought I'd give you another use for your watercolors. And I totally got outside the lines, and I do not care, so don't worry about that. In fact, a lot of people think staying in the lines means that you're doing it right, but I think getting outside the lines makes it more artistic anyway, so don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to go through all of these flowers with different colors of watercolor. And I'm going to pull up some of the color that's kind of pooled up just to give it a faster drying time. The nice thing is it doesn't give it an even layer. It kind of gives it a messy, some spots are darker and some spots are lighter. It does the work. Watercolor kind of does the work for you. I'm going to go in now with an orange color. I generally keep my flowers warm colored, but I don't think that's really a rule. There's lots of purple and blue flowers if you want to do that. I think I purposely try to stick with either warm or cool on my flowers just because I aesthetically like the look of that, but there's no rules to art, and that's what's important. Our lives are hard enough to have to worry about all the rules that go along with art. That's why we're doing art, right? Because we want to be able to relax. We want to be able to do something that's all about us. It's not about anybody else, and also it's fun. And there are a lot of areas in our lives where we have to do things just the right way, such as math or our bills or all kinds of things. But this is your time. This is your time to just be able to soak in the peacefulness that comes along with it and be able to just really enjoy yourself. So use any colors you want. That I could do realism, and I do sometimes, but honestly, my favorite art is just fun art that I can make colors that aren't supposed to be certain places, you know, make the sky red or the you know, the grass purple, I don't know. I mean, just being able to just create your own thing is a lot of fun, and you should just enjoy that aspect of it. So let's see here. I'm gonna do a red here at the bottom. A lot of people have asked about watercolors and the rules about what kind of watercolors you get. I think the truth is that the more money you spend on art supplies, so the more expensive an art supply is, the better the quality is. So your outcome is going to be brighter, your outcome is going to work better for what you want it to. You don't have to buy the expensive paints. In fact, some paints, like the craft paints, you can be super successful for, and I use those over other things in my painting because of what they do. But with watercolors and colored pencils, you can get away with not very expensive watercolors and you can get amazing results. But I think when you spend a little bit more money as you grow as an artist, you're going to get even better results. So just bear that in mind when you're purchasing stuff. I just don't want you to get frustrated and feel like you're not getting the same results that I am. That being said, it takes a long time to get to a point where you can afford the expensive art supplies or justify them. So don't feel bad about that either. The most important part is that you're creating. So I'm going to pull some of the color out of this red just because I feel like the details aren't coming out because the red's so dark. So you just kind of play with it. The nice thing about putting watercolors on acrylics is that you can go back in, like this is totally dry over here, and you can completely pull out. It's gonna be able to be reactivated and reactivated. So the problem is that it's harder to lay colors on top of it because it's gonna keep moving it. But I can go in and add highlights into this area just by putting a wet brush on there and pulling some of that color out. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep going on and painting the rest of my flowers. Now if this is frustrating you, using the watercolor on top of the acrylic, or on top of the acrylic, then just go back into your acrylics. I mean, this is supposed to be a lot of fun, not frustrating. So the nice thing about the fact that we used the craft acrylics, like we talked about before, is that they're matte. So that means they have kind of more of a finish that is going to suck this paint in better than a glossy. So a glossy finish is going to the paint's just going to glide around on top of it and not exactly do what you want it to do. So this pink is kind of a cooler pink color, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to use it. I love it, and so I know I wanted to use it. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but the nice thing about it is that you can pull color out and change it if you want to. I think I'm kind of liking the bright pink though, so I'm just going to leave it.
I will love
The nice thing about these round brushes is that if you push harder on them, they cover a greater amount of space, but the more you pull up on them, the tip, the skinny tip is going to get skinnier, so you're able to get in these areas that are smaller.
You to the death. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will love you to the grave, till my life just can't be saved. When I reach those pearly gates, they say he loved them to the grave. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul save. Leave some love, memories say.
I think losing control in art is actually a good thing. So part of the problem and part of the frustration that people have with art is that they're trying to be very controlling with it, and that's just like in life. But the more you can let go and just allow the paint to do its thing, the less frustrating it's going to be. So as with life, and that's what I'm learning now with the recent tragedies that we've had in our life. I'm realizing that I really have no control over life. And that's very frustrating, of course, because I want to know that I can protect the people that I love that are around me. And I want to know that I'm going to be happy and that all my circumstances are going to be wonderful. But the truth is that I don't know what tomorrow brings. And so I need to live my life each day choosing to spend time with the people I love and choosing to spend time doing the things that I love, so that I walk away from each day feeling like I am happy with how my journey was going and happy with how my life is going. And so I think one of the things that creating art does for you is it brings about the same kind of peacefulness that therapy brings about, or writing, or anything else. It just gives you a calm, and we need that in our lives. I need that in my life. So I hope that as we go along with our paintings, that you find yourself in a place of peace and of joy and not frustration. If you're starting to get frustrated with it, it means you're trying too hard to be perfect. And that's not what this is about. This is about expressing yourself, and the less perfect it is, the better it is, to be honest with you. So now I'm going to go in with this Bahama Blue, here it is, Americana, into the background. I'm not going to go all the way against the edge of anything, so I'm going to be leaving a black edge around everything. And this is just an acrylic craft paint. Again. So I'm going just close, but no cigar on everything.
Man in the moon has got his eyes on you. But so does everyone else. they still all stop and stare. We make a regal pair, for me and you. And me and you. The man in the moon has got his eyes on you. 'Cause there is something deep inside that seems so true. The road may be long, the tune might feel wrong. Oh, remember there's a song that's made for you. But it's not the kind of song that's sung by every passing tongue that comes